Hi there, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another CattleTrace Conversation. My name is Kyler Langbart, and I serve as Program Manager for U.S. CattleTrace, the producer-led organization for animal disease traceability in the United States. We're happy to have you join us for another CattleTrace Conversation. These podcast-style videos are intended to have conversations with industry leaders, cattle industry representatives, animal health officials, all of the above, to talk about issues relating to animal disease traceability and how they can be implemented on operations such as yours. Today, we're really excited to be joined by Karaline Mayer. Karaline serves as the Animal Disease Traceability Coordinator for the Kansas Department of Agriculture. Does a great job there, and we've had several great conversations before in the past, and we're excited to have her here today to share some information about what her role is and how the Kansas Department of Agriculture, for example, works with animal disease traceability, not only in the state of Kansas, but across the nation. So Karaline, thanks for joining us. Can you describe your role with the Department of Agriculture and what your role kind of looks like on a daily basis?
Hi, Kyler. Thanks for the invitation. I'm really excited to be here today. Yes, as you described earlier, I serve as the Animal Disease Traceability Coordinator here at the Kansas Department of Ag. I kind of had to laugh when I was asked to think about my role on a daily basis, because no 2 days have ever been the same. And my gosh, that's a great way to be serving the citizens of Kansas and the livestock industry. I love the variety and the things that are coming through. Here at Kansas Department of Ag, one of the big things going on is that we do operate with a USDA ADT cooperative agreement. That's an annual agreement. So lots of our ADT work falls underneath of that. I have the privilege of managing that cooperative agreement and a number of the activities going on with that. But I would be remiss if I didn't say that every member here in animal health at KDA is contributing toward those ADT efforts. It's definitely a group effort to be working on those. Just some of the bigger projects that we have going on today in the ADT world. We do distribute and help distribute the free USDA low frequency tags. If you're not familiar with that program, USDA has allocated a certain number of tags per state. Those tags can be ordered through your local veterinarian. There are both white tags and then tags for official calf vaccination. So we're a part of helping distribute those tags throughout Kansas. When those tags didn't exist, we also played a role in helping move RFID tags into the system. We provided the official calf vaccination, or the orange tags, the bangs tags, to veterinarians at cost. But anyway, this free thing is a much better deal for the producers and vets here in Kansas. So we are definitely heavily involved in the tag world on that account. And then a lot of what I'm doing also is really trying to help move veterinarians from paper records to submitting their regulatory records electronically. We really believe in that move to electronic records. That's also within those overarching traceability goals that USDA has set forth for states. So some of those things might look like the back tag reports that are being submitted from livestock markets, or the official calf vaccination forms, or interstate health certificates, just to name a few. So we're helping folks switch to electronic functions. Excuse me. Additionally, because of the cooperative agreements, we have been able to cost share RFID readers, and we made those available just in the last, I'd say, 3 years, so that they were more cost effective for folks. And so we've had a lot of those readers moving through our office. So that's just a little taste of what's going on in our world, at least what I deem to be the most exciting stuff, Kyler.
Thanks, Karaline. That was a great summation of the many things that you do on a regular basis that changes up quite a bit. And we'd love to have you here today to talk about those things, because I think one of the things we see as US Cattle Trace is producers who still have lots of questions about not only the technology, but how this system could work, or any disease traceability system, regardless of whether it would be electronic or not, would work throughout the entire supply system, from the cow-calf producer all the way to the state animal health officials and state veterinarians. So where it's really valuable to hear some of the things that you're doing right now to make sure that could work on a larger scale. So US Cattle Trace is based in Kansas, and the CattleTrace pilot project, which initially began in the state of Kansas, was partnered through the Department of Agriculture here in the state. So we have a very strong tie with the Department of Agriculture, and it has always had a really strong emphasis on animal disease traceability. Can you kind of walk me through why the state of Kansas in particular puts so much emphasis on this idea of ADT and prevention?
Sure, definitely. Even before CattleTrace, from what I'm hearing, that was before my days, of course, here, but Kansas is a long time leader when it comes to animal disease traceability, and that's not something that we want to shy away from. We've taken great pride in being a leader in that arena. Excuse me. Ultimately what it comes down to, and I would hope that everyone that believes in disease traceability would say this, is it ultimately comes down to health and safety, welfare efforts of livestock. So in the end, that's what we're doing. We have commitments to livestock producers and the livestock industry here in Kansas. And we know that at the end of the day, ag plays a huge role in being an economic driver in the state of Kansas. And it's like that in a number of states, especially states I know that CattleTrace is working in today. And so I would expect similar answers no matter which state's ADT coordinator you're speaking with. We also recognize that we have a number of vulnerabilities here in the state of Kansas, and a good portion of that is due to our location. We're a crossroads for a number of cattle movements across the nation. In addition, we're considered an import state. Typically on an annual basis, movements that we are aware of, so there's a lot of disclaimers in there. We have about 3 million head of cattle coming in and 2 million head of cattle coming out. Additionally to that, we involve every sector of the livestock industry, from cow-calf, background, stalker guys, all the way to the feedlot industry. So there's a lot going on within the state of Kansas here. As well, we have over 40 livestock markets in the state, and they're moving over 2 million head of cattle. And that's just on the cattle side, no other species, but over 2 million head of cattle are moving through livestock markets in Kansas every year. So there's a lot of vulnerabilities, lots of risks going on here. When we also think about the emphasis we're placing on ADT, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about our annual exercises. And so those would be foreign animal disease exercises. We have a large scale exercise conducted here, based here out of the Kansas Department of Ag every December. In addition to that, we're running other tabletop and full-scale exercises and different trainings throughout the year. So definitely lots going on. We see the value of animal disease traceability, and we're willing to stand behind that and put forth the efforts needed to continue moving that forward.
That's excellent. We've seen the physical, ramifications of that in Kansas, thanks to our partnership, and many other states are leading the charge on that as well. So we're lucky to be able to work with so many animal health officials across the country, including you, Karaline, to make something like this a reality. Obviously, there are lots of barriers that producers might see to something like this working on a larger scale, whether that be a electronic-based system or even a paper-based system that some folks are still working with. What have you seen are some of the obstacles to a system like this working, not only in the state of Kansas, but beyond? You mentioned that those 2 million head of cattle are going out and 3 million are coming in. What are some of the obstacles that you might see that are currently happening, and what is the Department of Ag doing potentially with partners like US CattleTrace or others to assist in that development?
Sure. So we realize that our data is only as solid as the data we have in our hands, right? We know that there's a lot of data missing, and without that data, it creates hurdles for animal disease traceability efforts. So, for example, we know that there are interstate movements that don't end up on paper. They're not turned in. We know that there are tags that aren't read, that don't appear on regulatory documents. And disease traceability really relies on two main things. That's tags and that's documentation. So when those two things don't occur, we're missing out on information. And we recognize that. We certainly aren't blind to the fact that not everything is coming in here. And CattleTrace fills a great need because there are a lot of opportunities to read those tags and for those tags to be applied that aren't required from the regulatory side. So CattleTrace fills this need by applying those tags and reading those tags and housing those tags in a very secure database. And I think that's a fabulous opportunity where we get to, I don't want to use the word partner, that's not correct, but in a disease traceability event, we know that CattleTrace is a resource there and another source of information that we don't have in-house here. In addition, as I was talking about tags, I also wanted to make the comment about official versus unofficial tags. We know that 840 RFID tags are official tags. Official would mean that they have that US shield on them, that they are a unique number, some of those types of things. But there are a lot of 900 series tags going into cattle today that, while it's still wonderful to be adding RFID technology, it's not what we're receiving here. We need the 840 tags. And so that can create a bit of a speed bump at times. Excuse me. Also on the tag end, when we're talking about obstacles, we know that there are a number of tags that, we've talked about, they are not read. We know tags that are removed, official tags that are removed at various times, and then tags that have been removed and replaced. And we've never married up the old tag with the new tag. That marrying process needs to happen in order for disease traceability to be occurring smoothly, if you will. So today, it's really a really cool thing, in my opinion, to be a part of. If the tag is in the ear and it's read at appropriate times and reported appropriately into the systems, right? So if everything works right, we're able to trace a tag within a very few minutes. And within that time frame, then we can be on the phone with that last known read location. So with that producer, that livestock market, that veterinarian, we can be on the phone and tracing that animal. So if everything works right, a few short minutes. Additionally, if it's not a tag that's in our system, but it's in the CattleTrace system, it's still within a few hours or less. Typically, there's a great system on the CattleTrace side that really aids our work. So if everything's in place, we're really looking good for several minutes, within several minutes or several hours of tracing animals. One of the things required for us that I'm not sure that we really promote necessarily, but I think it's a great thing to be proud of, if you will, is that part of our cooperative agreement through USDA, one of the requirements says that we need to conduct national priority traces each year. And what that does is set a test trace scenario, and then we're timed on how fast we can find that tag and our accuracy. And so I feel confident when I tell you that within, I'm going to tell you 4 minutes, if the tag's in the system, we're going to find it. And that's one way that we're testing our systems and making sure that things are working correctly. So I think those are the main obstacles, Kyler.
No, I think you explained it really well, Karaline. Those are some things that we have folks come to us and ask questions about. And I think you not only see the public sector working on some of those issues, but also the government sector in your areas, Karaline, that your team is diligently working on. And so we've seen those efforts come together in really cool ways these past 3 years. So definitely a cool time, like you said, to be a part of this technological work around and work through. And so that's really been great to see. from the producer side, Karaline, if somebody was questioning the technology or needed assistance from somebody, let's say, if they didn't come to US Cattle Trace first, they came to someone like the Department of Agriculture in Kansas first to ask questions. How should they contact you? And then why is it important that they continue to be engaged with efforts that you all are putting on your end, as well as, practicing that ADT on their operations?
Sure. As far as contacting us, the easiest way, in my opinion, is to visit the website, and that is agriculture.ks.gov. You can also call in to our main number here, which is 785-564-6601. So those are two great ways to contact the Division of Animal Health and get directly in touch with those of us that are working on the ADT field. When I think about the why of why producers should continue to be engaged, to care about animal disease traceability, those types of things, I like to tell people that I get it. So I'm a rancher too. I'm an ag producer too. I feel these things on both sides, right? Whether I'm at home working or I'm in the office working in this role. But this matters. It matters a lot. So should we have a foreign animal disease event that would occur? Lots of things would go into play, right? And we have lots of benefits that we can work on now to ease that process later. So today we have secure food supply plans that are available. And folks here, Kelly Oliver here at the Kansas Department of Ag, works with folks on those plans. So they're biosecurity plans, and in essence, that's a proactive approach to preparing your operation should a foreign animal disease event occur at any given moment. So that's one thing. Another thing is to believe in the tags and believe in the system and what it offers. There's so much security and so much confidentiality, and whether you believe in storing data at the state level in our database, whether you believe in storing your data through CattleTrace and their database, it's not so much that you have to make a decision, or you have to make a choice. It's that both of those are really safe places, in my opinion, to store data. And what that does is allows us to help trace for disease purposes in a much quicker time fashion. And it also helps us when it comes time to quarantining animals. The more we know, oftentimes the smaller the quarantines, the less people, the less places are impacted by quarantines, but we are reliant upon the data that we have on hand at that time. In addition, excuse me, I wanted to put into perspective. So I remember Joe Leathers saying in his conversation a few weeks back, it's not if, it's when these events would happen. So we conduct from the state level foreign animal disease investigations throughout the year, every single year. And purposefully, that's something that we keep rather quiet. We get in, we do the investigations, we ensure, health and safety of the animals and the producers and any surrounding area if necessary. But we get out, and it is very important to us to maintain continuity of operations. We want to keep the markets going strong, all of those things. But having said all of that, just since the federal fiscal year started, because that's where our tracking starts. So since October 1, here in the state of Kansas, we've already conducted over 50 foreign animal disease investigations. I'm not telling you they're all positive. They're not all in cattle. It's multi-species. There are so many different foreign animal diseases that are out there. But the point is that there is a level of risk, and we do have a vulnerability today. And those are really, it's alive and it's real here. And so it's not something that we can dismiss. So I do think that it is up to us as producers, as I'm switching my hats here again, it's up to us as producers to care about animal disease traceability and see the value of our work. And I appreciated Joe saying that, today there's probably not an economic return for those tags that you're going to feel, but there's still value, and it's definitely a risk management strategy. So I hope that helps surmise a few of the a few of the reasons that we want producers engaging in animal disease traceability today.
Yeah, thanks, Karaline. I think that's well thought out in the sense that as a producer and as an animal health representative in the state of Kansas, we can see that for this to truly become the system that works for producers and works for the entire supply chain, we all have to be engaged. And so it's really positive to see such engagement from folks like the Department of Agriculture in Kansas and Department of Agriculture's and animal health officials across the country. If you ever have any questions about how to get in contact with someone at your animal health officials, your representatives, let us know at US CattleTrace. We can get that going as well. Karaline, was there anything else the Department of Agriculture is doing right now that you want to share about, or any last encouragements to folks who are interested in ADT?
I think we covered a lot of things today, and I would just send out a quick reminder that if there are any unanswered questions after today, I'm happy to field those or pass you along to our Animal Health Commissioner here in the state of Kansas, Dr. Justin Smith. But there are a lot of people doing a lot of great things behind the scenes, and I'm really pleased. It's a joy to be a part of that here in Kansas. And thanks again, Kyler, for the invitation today.
Yeah, we appreciate you a lot in the partnership that we continuously work on between public and private, and making sure that this system is run effectively and does the best for our cattle industry in the state of Kansas and in the United States throughout it. So thanks for joining us for another CattleTrace Conversation. We'll see you next month. Have a good rest of your day.